Now, some of the daily driver cars are largely unused in the game due to the Audi TT RS being so overpowered. Today we're going to have a look at some of these daily driver cars, and is there somewhere else we could be using these? Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. We're kicking things off, of course, in the John Cooper Works Mini, and of course we're over here in the new Ibiza map. And the new dynamic that we've got in the game is something I was asking for all through Hong Kong Island, and it was rotation of races. And the beautiful part of this is we've now got rotation for the cross-country races. The Bernat Special, 79% gravel, 21% asphalt race, and we can do this in the daily driver category, 550 to 650 RP. And I think this is opening up the door for something very, very interesting in the game. The fact that we can use different cars for different styles of races, I think is a stroke of genius. We of course will jump in first of all into the Lancia Delta, into Rally. A bona fide rally legend, but it's still in the daily driver category, so perhaps cheating just a little bit with this one. We can see just how capable this is. It's short wheelbase with its four-wheel drive and bags of power. Handling the early parts of the circuit fantastically well. Into our first hairpin, a little bit of handbrake, let this thing just slide round that little hairpin there. Already pulled away from the rest of the pack. A very big apology there, guys. Drifted around that big left-hander. We can put the power down, all down the big straight that we have got here. My chosen path is staying to the right hand side. It's a little bit smoother than the rest of this big open straight. Work your way through the gears, stay to the right hand as much as you can. As we do pass the water trap, there is a large bump in the track there, and it will send you into the sky, coming into that big left-hander, so be a little bit cautious coming into that one. As we come through a little chicane here, it's a little bit tricky, we do end up going wide there, but handling it all good so far. As we do move over onto the asphalt part of this track, we can see that we're starting to struggle with this car particularly. It doesn't want to turn in. It's got off-road tyres fitted on a asphalt surface. It's not going to turn in like we would expect it to. Around that right-hander, again not wanting to outbrake ourselves, not wanting to smash into the railings at the end of the road. Now we've got a double left-hander here, another tricky one, especially with the Delta Integrale not wanting to turn all too well on its nose. Right-hander, again we tried to power slide it, unfortunately just tapped the wall, but we're handling it reasonably well, I would say, so far. Get around this little last bit of asphalt as we do come back into the gravel surface here, again being a little bit cautious so we don't miss the checkpoints that we have got here. Tricky little right-hander there, being slow and careful coming into that for me has been the fastest method. As we come around the right-hander, want to whip that back end round just a little bit quicker than we did there, get the power back down, and we'll push through the last 15% of this one. Tight right-hander there, I do try to keep it nice and tight, let the little bounce in the track, push the car up the hill. Round the big left-hander there, we do fully commit, get the power down nice and early, double right-hander, down the dip left-hander, and get ready for that last left-hander to finish off the track. We go a little bit wide, we just missed the barrier, we could have been a little bit tidier to finish off the track, but overall we can see this has gave us quite a fantastic dynamic to be able to use these daily drivers in the off-road circuits, and it does appear that many of you guys are starting to enjoy the off-road racing a lot more over on Ibiza opposed to Hong Kong Island. I don't know why, because for me Hong Kong Island was still fantastic for some of the off-road racing. Perhaps it is the fact that you can now use different classes for these off-road races. You guys can let me know if this has been what changed your mindset looking at off-road races. For me, I think it's absolutely fantastic. We'll push forward to the second one today. We just lock up with the off-road tyres on the Mini just there, but we'll push over to the Eastern Russia 3.1 mile race, and again it's mixed, 64% asphalt, 36% gravel, daily driver category once again, 600 to 700 RP. And this time out is something I was very looking forward to. I wanted to see how the Quattro handled a kind of off-road circuit, so of course we're going to jump into the Audi TT RS. We know we're going to launch off the line fantastically well here. This thing is frighteningly fast off the line. We have got another one there for company. This track in particular has got a little bit of an issue. We kind of spoke about it in the comments a few videos ago. There's a legal cheat, we'll say that much, with this track in particular. I like, and I actually love, how in Ibiza we have got these tighter circuits, but it does pose one issue, and it's what I would phrase as legal cheating. You can run your way around the barriers and not have to brake, especially in the daily driver category. I've noticed it quite a lot with this race in particular. that people just don't slow down. Maybe for these kind of turns here because there's no outside barrier, but on this kind of turn here, you don't actually have to slow down. You can just smash into those barriers like we kind of just did there, knock off enough speed and carry the most momentum you can. You'll notice that as we kind of go through, or as you kind of go through some of the races, that there is quite a presence of legal cheating. It's in the game, they're there, you can use them, guys, it is what it is. We'll move on though. We can see the TTRS, unsurprisingly, is handling these kind of off-road circuits fantastically well. It comes from Rally Heritage, it has got the Quattro system, and it's actually working unbelievably well here. I have got off-road tyres fitted to this, I do believe. I don't think it's all season, I do think it is off-road tyres fitted to it, and I have got off-road suspension, I believe. I probably should have fact-checked the setup before we came into it, but overall we can see that this thing is actually balanced fantastically well. Not outbraking ourselves all too badly, unfortunately we do just clip that barrier and no more, and outbrake ourselves just a little bit there, going in a little bit heavy, getting a bit excited with the TTRS. But we can see overall it's handling everything that's thrown at it fantastically well. Absolutely no surprise it's handling the asphalt part, you know, without an issue. Perhaps locking up, driver error. But as we do come back over onto the off-road sections, well, that then gives us a little bit of a possible surprise. Maybe not much of a surprise for people that understand where the heritage of the Quattro system comes from. The Audi TTRS is absolutely phenomenal. We can see coming through water traps, through this mud surface, it's really not posing much of an issue at all. Round this hairpin there, a little bit of handbrake, let the back end flow round on us, get the power back down nice and early, posing absolutely no issue whatsoever. Obviously, so far we've only been in four-wheel drive vehicles. We will change that up shortly. Just missing that inside wall there, getting the power down. And yeah, we've got some straights here. It's maybe not the best part for me to start commenting on the actual race itself. Tight hairpin, tight right hand 90 there, and we do outbrake ourselves ever so slightly, but that's another one of those turns that people just don't slow down for, smash into the wall at the end to knock off the speed they need to knock off, and they're setting gloriously fast times on that track specifically. So I think I'll make that in a different video. I'm going to cover off a few of those races that I have noticed that people just don't slow down. They hit the barriers to slow their speed, kill the momentum, and ultimately set some of the fastest times on the leaderboard. It's an interesting dynamic, it's there in the game. You know, abuse it, use it, whatever it is you want to do with it, guys. For me, I try to race as clean and tidy as I possibly can. We'll move over to the next race for today. I've been trying to find races for the Mini. Obviously it's not a rally car, it's very rigid, it's very stiff. So trying to find a reasonable race for it has been a little bit tricky so far. I have tried it in the two previous races and it just didn't settle particularly well. Moving over to the third race today, it was the same story. Fighting the Giant, a 2.6 mile clan race. Of course it's a clan race, it's Ibiza, 55% asphalt, 45% gravel, 600 to 700 RP. And through the enjoyment I had in the last race, with the TTRS I kind of wanted to explore it just a little bit more. So we'll jump back into it again. It's obviously a bit of a shorter race, this one out, again launching off the line with absolutely no issues whatsoever. Round the big first sweeping left-hander, not really having to slow down into the second left-hander, lifting just a little bit to control the back end of the RS so it doesn't slide away from us, but we're largely foot to the floor thus far. Into our first braking zone, we've already got a dramatic 2-second lead on the rest of the pack so early in that race without really any issues whatsoever. Getting the power back down once again, getting ready for this big sweeping right-hander. We're not lifting all too much, we're letting this thing slide about as much as it wants to do. As we come into our first asphalt section rather, again getting the power down, the back end just sliding away from us just a little bit here. We've got a lot of tricky braking zones here, and the reason these are tricky is because we don't have road tyres on some of these asphalt circuits. It is creating a little bit of a different issue, and I absolutely love it. Into the first issue I did have with this one, it was a right hand 90 locking up as we do come to the off-road surface again. This time out we handle it a little bit better there, we get nice and tight to that inside wall, getting the power down nice and early, and another right hand 90, right hand 90 coming up there. Losing words, guys, things are moving far too fast today, but we do now come into the mud section, and this is where the Audi TTRS starts to shine. We can just see how well this thing just flows from left to right. Just let this thing move around, guys, let it move underneath you. whip it around some of these corners. Unfortunately, we come off the mud surface there, but on those mud surfaces particularly, this thing just flows across them. Handles exactly as you would want it to, it moves exactly where you want it to. This thing is absolutely perfect for some of these off-road races. What I would like to see happen is moving back over to Hong Kong Island is we get some race rotations on there, and we can start using some of these different cars on the off-road races. The Audi TT particularly, I think would be absolutely phenomenal on quite a lot of those off-road style cross-country races on Hong Kong Island. We've got about 10% left of this one as we come downhill through the little tubes there. Get ready, we've got a nice tricky left-hander here. We don't want to outbrake ourselves like we did just there, as this one does tighten up halfway through through its chicane. But we get the power down, guys. We'll cross the line, we'll take out another win there. We'll cross off race number 3 for today. God, things were moving fast there. I was totally losing my words. Sorry for that one. But we'll push forward and we'll give a little bonus race. We'll go and do a 4th race for today, because I do want to try this Mini to see if it is actually capable of any form of off-road racing. It's incredibly rigid, it's not the fastest thing in the world, and of course it's front-wheel drive, so it does pose a bit of an issue. But we'll move over here again to the natural rhythm. A 4-mile off-road race. It's largely gravel, just 4% asphalt, 400 to 500 in the daily driver category. And of course we done this yesterday, on Tuesday rather, in the Range Rover Sport SVR. This race is absolutely bonkers. This is exactly the kind of off-road racing I want to see, the kind of layout of the road surface, the track that I would want to see here. Trying to get the Mini off the line, we of course have got a lot of wheel spin. This thing being front wheel drive, trying to get the power down is incredibly hard. We've got a TT stopping in the middle of the track right up ahead of us. We do unfortunately clatter into the back end of it, so we've managed to pass that one, get the AI out of the way nice and early and start to negotiate this one, treat it like a bit of a rally stage. And the noise that comes out of the Mini makes me feel more and more like we're in a bit of a rally stage here. Through the little left-hander, slow down just in time for the right-hander, trying to stay off that wall. We do just clip it, and as we start to come through the overgrown sections here, we can see just how rigid the Mini Cooper really is here. It's handling it alright so far. It's not a rally car, it's not set up fantastically well. It's very bumpy, it's very rigid, but for the most part it is handling most of this one so far so good. Getting a little bit of air, a little bit unstable, but comes back down on all 4 wheels. We're doing alright. A little shortcut through that left-hander, flow it through into the right-hander, try to get the power down nice and early, pushing it back up again. It's not the cleanest or clearest of circuits ahead of us, and that's exactly why I love this track layout. There's different lines we can take, there's different actions we can take across this one, so you know, explore this, guys. I think this is probably one of my favourite off-road races in game, and especially on the Ibiza map. Coming through into this left-hander, there's the possibility of taking a shortcut just there. Unfortunately, we do lock up and we do claim the wall that was just ahead of us. Not set up fantastic well. Another area right here, we can take a little shortcut, save ourselves a second or two of time as we push back through. And as we come through the trees, we don't see that wall on the right hand side, unfortunately crashing into it, losing our momentum. But we'll push on, guys, we won't let it slow us down all too much. Round the big right hander there, a little creek on the right hand side, we can let the back end just flow around in the Mini Cooper, and we'll push our way back up through the wooded section. Don't want to cut there. Again, there's a wall inside of the bushes. You of course will crash into it, lose all your momentum, so don't cut that corner. We can cut that one as we just seen, and again we can cut this one, try and save ourselves a couple of seconds of time. Round the right hander there, we do get unsettled with the right hand banking, unfortunately clipping the left hand wall, but again it's not slowing us down all too much. As we come into the little mud section here, the Mini's starting to move underneath us, and it's actually handling it fantastically well. Yes, we have got the off-road tyres fitted, but this thing, if we just let it move about underneath us, of course the front end's going to get traction where we perhaps don't want it to, some off-road racing, but for the most part the Mini's handling everything fantastically well. It's kind of going where we want it to be. It is incredibly bouncy, it's incredibly rigid, but it's not that bad that it's unusable. Yes, we've obviously locked up a few times, we've touched a couple of walls, but we've not lost all too much speed, and the Mini's actually handled everything pretty good so far. Of course there's quicker cars for this one, but it's all about enjoyment, having fun, using different cars to see how they handle these different surfaces, fully committing to that right hander there. We can go wide on the left hander previous, as it's just bushes, it won't slow us down. as we come up through the last 15% or so here, we can start to have some fun. We can try to commit as much as we can with the Mini, whipping the back end round, getting back on the throttle, on the power nice and early to try and pull this one back up through the rest of the course. Down through this left-hander, I do slow down just a little bit, nice and tight to that inside left wall. Inside right, we can cut, we can get the power down. Once again, push this one through, but we have got a full loop on us right here. Big sweeping hairpin. Slowing down just enough for that one, get the power down again nice and early, try and pull ourselves up this little hill and get ready for this left-hander up ahead. Slow is the way for this one, slow and tidy, much like we were with the Range Rover. We do the same with the Mini and it doesn't, you know, give us all too much of an issue there. And we get the power back down one last time, fully commit this one all the way to the start finish line, a couple of lifts, but overall we're fully committing this one, missing the trees this time out, and we do cross the line and take another win. A fantastic race for the Mini there. Did go back and do it again with the Audi TTRS after this one, did set a fantastically quick time with that one again. So of course today's experiment was all about using the daily driver cars in off-road races, and I think this opens the door to go back over to the Hong Kong Island to have some more race rotation there, being able to use Grand Tourers, daily drivers in the cross-country races, I think opens the door for more in Hong Kong Island, like we've seen here in Ibiza. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's video, something a little bit different. If you did, smash up the like button, subscribe, tap on the bell, all the usual good stuff. Please stay tuned for more content on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.